Think about this. This is mind-blowing to me. I can't believe that we're even having this discussion, but hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a reaction today on Vice's new documentary about genetic testing. It's really spicy. It crosses between abortion, IVF, surrogacy, which is a multi-billion dollar industry. And it also is basically like a sci-fi film at this point. We're living Gattaca, 1997. It's crazy what we can do with genetic testing, and if we are able to even select for unnaturally babies and embryos. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This is insane stuff. Make sure you subscribe and let's get into it.
During the first pregnancy, we found out that the child, if born, would not live for very long, and we chose to terminate.
What was that like?
Pretty horrible.
It's heartbreaking. Wow.
It was really hard, for a pregnancy that you wanted, and for us, we didn't know what would come next.
This time, the Cassidys got pregnant using IVF, so they could use a genetic test to screen out for the disorder. Soon, they found out they could also screen for all kinds of common diseases.
I have type 1 diabetes, and I would do anything to not pass that burden along. There's most likely a misconception out there that when people hear genetic testing, I'm sure they're thinking immediately trying to make your child the next LeBron James or the next Elon Musk. And that's
a really good point. I think most of us do think about like, oh, can we make our kids super smart or super tall and athletic and super good looking? And I mean, I think most of us do hope and desire innately that our kids will become the next rock star or president of the United States. But I know that that's just not really realistic, because even with genetic testing, I know with the standards and the quality of genetic testing that we have today, as cool as it is, it's not going to be able to ensure like your kid is going to turn out perfectly. I mean, you're going to have to live your life like anybody else, and this kid is going to grow up with different types of maybe wounds, traumas, difficulties. That's just life. So not everything's insured, but I think there's a heart in it. Every parent wants to be able to have their kid not go through a lot of difficulties like diabetes.
And that's not what this is at all.
I think every parent, just wants to bring a healthy child into the world, and that's what, we were looking to do.
It's routine for doctors to test fetuses and embryos for cystic fibrosis. But the Cassidys used a new type of polygenetic test that screens for conditions caused by multiple genes.
Results that they give you, and it just says the likelihood of type 1 diabetes, type 2, and then it goes down the list.
Testicular cancer, prostate cancer, a couple types of melanoma, hypertension, and schizophrenia, among other things.
That's crazy. So I worked in healthcare for a little bit and graduate school, and we know that there are definitely genetic markers for certain types of mental health disorders. It can be passed down. But now that you can actually screen for risk for schizophrenia, that's like mind-blowing. That's crazy. And then all these other things like cancers and different melanoma types of cancers are obviously things that hopefully I would want to be screened for. But the caveat here is, especially for those of us who are pro-life, you're going to be destroying embryos. And if you believe that human conception of an embryo, two gametes coming together to create one unique DNA, that is where human life starts, then it causes a lot of ethical concerns.
That's a lot of potential diseases. Did you end up choosing the embryo with the lowest risk for type 1 diabetes?
We did, yeah.
PGTP is controversial because no one knows how accurate its predictions will be. So far, fewer than 100 babies have been born to families who used it. The technology has been on the market for 3 years, offered by just one company for all kinds of things, like mental health or intellectual ability.
Octavian, the daffodils are over here. We have to go this way.
Just like the tone of this guy, and I'm assuming like just looking at the couple, they're a bit more progressive, and so calling your kid Octavian, like you name your kid Octavian, that's pretty cool. I mean, no, I don't even know, where does Octavian come from? Is that like Greek or something?
Simone and Malcolm Collins are entrepreneurs who believe that happiness itself is genetic.
Some people are just happier on average than other people. And if we can give our daughter a better shot in terms of her mood throughout her life, I don't know, I feel a moral imperative to do that.
Dang. Yeah, that's kind of hard. Like, obviously you want your kid to be happy, but looking at my life, I actually feel like I don't want my kid to be happy all the time, because like happiness kind of makes you stupid. If you're happy all the time, I don't think you can really relate to folks as well. Because some of the greatest relationships I've ever had and some of the greatest accomplishments took a lot of grit and pain. And those things obviously don't have to be mutually exclusive to happiness. But at the same time, if you're happy-go-lucky all the time, I think it could be hard for certain people to relate to you and see you as their equal.
Like the Cassidys, the Collins also used genomic prediction to analyze and rank their embryo's disease risk. Then they downloaded the raw data and paid a DNA analysis company called Self-Decode to get even more predictions, like whether the embryos could be adept at managing stress or suffer from brain fog or depression.
So I'm downloading the PDF that they gave us. And hold on, I can stop this. Yeah, so what we got from genomic prediction was just a really simple report, which I actually quite like.
And so, did you do IVF so that you could get data on your embryos?
Yeah, we already had all of our embryos that we needed to have 7 kids. We had 26 embryos good to go, but we did a whole new round just to be able to do this because it's so much additional information.
Interesting. So, I see these embryos have health scores ranging from like negative 0.96 to like 1.9.
The Titan here, who turned out to be the one we selected.
This lady just named her kid Titan. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Interesting.
Selected had the best score from our own internal, additional data calculations and genomic predictions best.
Oh my gosh, hey Titan, you're number 1. So wait, Titan, is that her name?
Titan Invictus.
What's that from?
Well, we want powerful names.
And we actually have a rule in the family against giving any of our daughters strictly female names because data shows that it has a lot of negative outcomes.
Well, that's pretty badass. I think those names are pretty cool, but I'm just like thinking about feminism. Like, shouldn't you be standing up for women? It's really funny that they are actually looking for these types of aspects of traits or characteristics within their embryos, because ultimately these are potentials, right? And it takes parenting, like any good parent. Like, I believe in developing these skills, developing certain types of characteristics and mindsets. Regardless of what you get in life, I think it's really like, if life gives you lemons, you squeeze and make some lemonade, right? You make the most of your circumstance and what you've been given in life. And so I think their argument here is that we want to give our kid the most in life at the expense of destroying 25 other embryos. So with IVF, that's the contentious point too, with anti-abortionists and pro-lifers. Like myself, I believe like human life starts at conception. You should not just create an embryo just to destroy it or freeze it forever. Whole new DNA, right? So this is not just simply you and your gamete anymore. And I think there's some responsibility over that we need to look into, because if it's truly a human person and the potential is there for them to grow into a human, who are we to say like this life isn't worth living because they're not as intelligent, or they don't have a lot of the barriers, or like they have a lot of risk for certain types of diseases. It's really tricky, and I don't particularly love it.
What would you like to test for that isn't currently available on the market?
IQ is the big one.
Yeah.
I think that's
educational attainment, IQ,
Yeah.
earning potential. Like, there are polygenic risk scores
potential.
related to these.
Why do you think that it's not on the market? Polygenic risk scores for things like IQ or educational attainment.
spicy.
It's very spicy.
It's spicy.
As soon as the company comes out and says, we allow you to select for height or intelligence or anything that seems evil or correlates with evil.
Correlates with evil. It kind of does seem evil though. I mean, at face value, she's not wrong. Because like, is it being greedy? Because you are being privileged. And I think in our capitalistic world, it's so funny to see what I assume to be a pretty progressive couple what they're trying to implement is basically a situation where their kids benefit the most out of life because they're chosen, they're selected for all the best strengths, right, in their current situation. So earning potential obviously is something that is not founded. Like, it's not something that people have been able to do quite yet ethically or even just practically. But that's not something that I think you can pinpoint down. I mean, if that kid is not going to be able to earn money like Elon Musk or Bezos, like, is their life not worth living? Right? So I think we're already putting in this premise of you either have to be super successful in life to be born. In order for you to be born, like for your life to be worth living and struggling through. And we just can't pinpoint that down. I mean, unless you're God, you don't really know what a person's going to go through. And I'm a hopeful person. I try to be a person of faith. Like, I trust that whatever somebody goes through, it can make them better. You know, if it doesn't, the old adage, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So there's a limit, I think, that we need to be able to pause. Is it really for the parents or is it for the kid? Is it really for the parents or is it for the embryo? I think that plenty of embryos are going to die off, and ultimately there's kind of like this OCD. I think they get checked out for OCD, honestly. Like, I don't think you should just like germinate and create via IVF, you know, all the embryos that you want. Like, I think that there should be some limits on this for sure.
Eugenicist, they're Nazi, whatever. And that really bothers us.
Whenever the state determines these are good genes, these are bad genes,
Or any coercive group.
evil always results from that. But when you're talking about family level decisions, like me and my wife know we have some deadly disease and I want to make sure my kid doesn't get it.
Or I want my kid to have the highest IQ possible and good SAT scores.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think that either of those things are particularly morally questionable.
There was a Squirrel Bear 1141 here says that, is there a genetic test for the second family to ensure they don't pass down their insufferable personalities to their children? It's gotten 2.3 thousand likes. It's kind of mean, but a little hilarious. And then there's another comment here by WP2488. The couple who doesn't want their child to have a female name because they will do worse in the world. It's literally how we will never overcome societal issues. That second couple is incorrigible. Their child might not be predisposed to mental health issues, but they will have a complex with parents like that. I think that's pretty well said, honestly. I mean, we're just kind of like a lizard eating its tail at this point. Like, we're trying to solve issues by creating new problems. We're creating new problems because we're trying to solve old issues.
Would genomic prediction ever go into testing for traits beyond diseases?
No.
I feel like this is like one of those sci-fi films, like, you know, I Am Legend with Will Smith, where in the very beginning it's like, we have found the cure to cancer. And then people become like these warped alien-like vampires, right? Because of the technology. And so like this guy is saying no, but here, Pandora's box is open. We know that genetic testing, CRISPR, and all these technologies will have certain ramifications. And like AI, you can't really stop it.
And the majority of patients want to reduce disease risks.
Where is the line between disease and trait? It doesn't seem as simple or as black and white.
No, I think it's an important question, and I mean, we can all have our own opinions, right? It's not really society's place to tell individuals whether they should do something one way or another when it comes to having children.
I don't object to what genomic prediction does, like across the board, what they're offering now. I also think that it's quite possible that this very limited menu of things is sort of a starter place where people are looking to get their hands on a certain type of child. And is that going to create a situation where people are less accepting of, you know, who and what they get? Either get rid of it or change expectations or alter people's thoughts about what is and isn't appropriate. So the time to discuss it is right now.
Yeah, the time is to discuss it right now, because this stuff is pretty freaky. If we're going to live through Gattaca and thinking about like, oh, what kind of human civilization do we want? In Darwinistic evolutionary theory, it was inherently racist in saying and positing that white people are more superior because they are more developed, they have higher cognitive function and so forth. So, you know, people even today, especially liberals and progressives, have really critiqued people who have done IQ studies, right, across race, because it is found that Ashkenazi Jews and then Asians and then white people and then minorities such as Hispanics and blacks fall in that lieu of IQ, right? Ashkenazi Jews being the top. And so if we do have a value between the types of races in which we're selecting for, or the types, even IVF, you can do that right now. You can be a single mom and you can go to a sperm clinic and get and select for a certain type of man. And we know that white males are selected for more, right? We want someone who has high earning potential. Oh, this is what they do. This is the eye color that they have, probably blue eyes, right? And there's like these rare commodities that are in higher demand that we are selecting for. So there's this natural social Darwinism that is playing out as we see when we're talking about IVF and genetic testing. It's literally unnatural testing, and actually unnatural genetic selection, right? Unnatural selection is actually a documentary you should check out if you want to learn more about this. And I think at a base level, screening for gene issues with regard to diseases, totally reasonable. But if it's anything beyond that, like really hardline no. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and make sure to leave a comment down below. What do you guys think about this? This is mind-blowing to me. I can't believe that we're even having this discussion, but it's something that we should have talked about a while back. And let me know what you think, especially if you're pro-life, pro-choice. And then how about the genetic issues of like going beyond just diseases? What do you make of it? Would you want to do it? Would you want to do it if you have the money and the choice to do it? Let me know down below. All right, I'll see you guys next time.